Hello, it's Anna here and welcome to my channel Paper Craft Create. In today's video I'm going to be running through my submission for Kendra's card challenge number 7. Now I've got here the PDF that she provides for this challenge. If you're not aware of this challenge or you don't know Cards by Kendra, I'll link everything below, and it's just a wonderful challenge that she runs. She does them quarterly, so it's a 3-month challenge, so you've got plenty of time to complete it, and has a bundle of prizes and so on that some wonderful companies have sponsored. This one here has 6 sheets of patterned paper, 6 by 6 inch, and what she does is she provides all the cutting templates, which I'll run through shortly, as well as the card sketches. So she gives you something to start with and then you make them your own. It's a lot of fun. It's a great challenge. So I do urge everyone to give it a go. And it's fantastic because at the end of it, you've got 15 cards. So, you know, if you've got to make a bundle of cards, this is a great way to do it. And it really sort of challenges you to use different dies and stamp sets and other bits and pieces to really get the most out of that stash that I'm sure we all do have. So what I'll do is I'll provide the link down below. That'll be to the video which introduces this card challenge, Kendra's video, and in that video there is the PDF and everything you need to, and she explains everything wonderfully, so I'll leave it to her. She does a wonderful job doing so. What I'll do is I'll just quickly show you. So papers 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and sorry, they're 5 and 6. So basically what it is best to do, and what I like to do, is get my 6 papers and then I have a look at all the card sketches. So basically anything that's red you'll see will be on, you know, these sort of cards here which has red, but they're all numbered for which card they belong to. And have a little play around, have a good go to see whether they all coordinate with each other, and also if you can use double-sided papers, even better again, because then you've got 2 options for paper if one side doesn't work as well as the other. She also has little arrows, which is fantastic, so letting you know which direction the paper will be used in. So if you're using something that's directional, so obviously if you look at a piece of paper and it should be in a certain direction, then you'll know that it should be up and down or sideways, depending on which way you'll be using the piece that you're cutting up. So what I'll do is I'm just going to run through my finished cards. I'll go through one at a time and just show you my interpretation. So sometimes I might find I might use the card sketch as inspiration purely. Other times I might follow it exactly to the T. So it's work with whatever you have. There's no need to go out and rush out and buy this and that. It's a good way to get, as I said, get using your own things. Now, just one tip I have is when you are cutting up, because you're cutting up lots of pieces, I will actually put all my pieces into these sort of sallow bags. So I'll write up a little envelope or little sallow bag for each card sketch, and then I just put each piece as it is, and then once I finish the card I put it in there so I remember what I've done. Okay, so starting with sketch number 1, this is my interpretation of it. Now it is fairly similar. So what you'll find is you've got obviously this piece in the back, everything pretty much the same. Instead of the sentiment being on the bottom, I've actually just included in that. Obviously just go with what works. Now I've used actually some Stampin' Up products here, so it's all part of the Chic, textured Chic. I'll let you know what they are at the bottom. Sorry, I should know. And yes, just gone with this theme. Now this time round with my cards, what I have done is I've actually used just the one sort of coordinating papers, and also stamps and dies that coordinate, so it's a suite. So I thought I'll see if it's a bit easier if I use all the same you know, products amongst them, and I did find it a little bit easier rather than doing them all individually, but it doesn't really matter how you choose to do it. Card number 2, this one here, is fairly much the same, other than with my shape there I've put in a little tag and I've sort of embellished around that, and what I have done is this little texture piece at the back. You'll see that's highlighted in almost every card. just to add a bit of texture and interest to the card. So I've put my sentiment here rather than there, and once again just a personal preference for this particular card. So that's that one there. Okay, moving on to card number 3. So that's this one here. So the 3 stripes, and that's pretty much what I've sort of stuck with there. However, I've alternated. I've put my sentiment on this side and done a bit of embellishing on this side here to fill in that space. And I've just put in just like a little one of those little sort of stickers, just to, rather than a sort of a piece of card or whatever, to trim the top there. Okay, that's card 3. Moving on to card 4. So this one here, once again fairly similar in design. However, I've used a tag again in the background there, and this here I've used a stripe, which is only half the size there, and still moved with the circle, and obviously just added that embellishment. As you can see, they sort of all do create a bit of a story. And what I have done is I've sort of deckled or scuffed the edges of these cards, and I've added like an extra layer to this, which is just given an embossed layer just to create a bit more interest. So I'll move on to number 5. So number 5 was all these stripes with an oval. I just didn't quite have the right size oval in my stash. However, what I've done is I've just used a tag again, so keeping in theme with some of the other cards, and I've just actually turned it all on its side. Now, the other thing I've also done with these cards is I just found that coordinating papers were probably a bit dark for this patterned paper, so I actually watercolored in the same colored inks and gave it a bit more of a sort of a lighter wash, and used it to cut out all my like tags and embellishments and sentiments and bits and pieces. So they're still in the same colors, just a different hue, and keeping it nice and light, not so bright. So that was card 5. Moving on to 6. So card 6 just here, fairly similar, so pretty much the same. What I have done though is I've put in an edging around here, so just a scalloped rectangle for my matted piece. Once again, I've added that little bit of textured die embellishment on the bottom, and then just built up a little cluster there with the sentiment across the front. I have used the embossing, but I did love the effect of that, and you will see that I've used it, even though it was specifically for this card to use that. I have used it on a few different cards just because it adds that little bit more interest rather than just plain paper. Okay, so that was the first 6 cards. Moving on to cards 7 through to 12. So card 7, once again I've used that embossed piece in the back, and then this is pretty much the same, so I've just sort of used that and added in a couple of embellishments. So although that has one big embellishment there, I've decided to use the 3 and not banded my sentiment there. So card number 8. Okay, so card number 8 is this one here, and that's fairly similar. So instead of using the embellishment or shape over this side, I felt that it would work better over here. That negative space there was just not sitting well with me, so I put a little tag and obviously that textured background as well, with a little cluster on top of that and my sentiment there, so that's just a little bit different. Moving on to card number 9. Okay, card 9. So this one here. So this one here I changed up a fair bit. So what I did do is I didn't mat this one here, but I just used a lovely piece of that watercolored background. Then I used that textured piece and used that one there. I still sort of kept an embellishment over there, but I added on this sentiment just here, and I didn't include my 3 dots on that side. I just used some sequins throughout, and I just felt that for this particular card it worked better that way. Card number 10, so moving down to the bottom here with the circle. Once again, fairly similar design. Once again incorporating, well, firstly that piece of embossed background, then adding the texture on that again, layering it once more with a tag, and then the sentiment on top of that. So I've just really created a lot of layers. So although it's quite a simple design, just sort of building up on that and really you know, bringing the card to life. So that's there. Now 12 and 11 and 12 I've left behind over here. Okay, so 11. So card 11, I found that I just didn't know what to do as far as a solid piece, but I thought I really wanted to use once again this bit of texture, so I just cut that sort of to look like a triangle or a square on its side, and then just used the sentiment on the front there with obviously that embossed background again, and quite like the way that turned out. It's some beautiful foiling on these papers, which I'm not sure if it picks up, so oh yeah, it does. It just is really quite glitzy and very pretty. And number 12, so card 12, this one here. So I added a little bit of extra zhuzh to this one, so just sort of keeping it fairly similar. However, I added another little focal point, just some gold foiled hexagon sort of cut out. Added just a little bit of that texture background, and then the sentiment, rather than just being on the banner, I added it on there with my little embellishment, and then a couple of those sequins again. So I just, oh yeah, you can see them in the light there. They come up great. Fantastic. And moving on to the last 3 cards. Okay, so these last 3 cards are, so firstly 13. So fairly similar in design. So what I did is I obviously used my circle, and I used another one of those little hexagon sort of foiled embellishments, and then the big word sentiment there, and then I just used some of those sticker strips as opposed to just like cardstock or paper, which, you know, are quite lovely and glitzy because they're glittery ones. Hopefully you can see those, and that's turned out really pretty. I just love the white, the stark white with those pops of colour, and the bits of glittery bling on there. I think they just look beautiful. And once again, that circle, I just did a watercolour wash in the greens used in those papers. So that was 13. 14 here. Oh, sorry, moving along. So 14, I did change up a little bit in the sense of, oh, I suppose there was a circle there, but it's any shape or embellishment. So instead of using a strip through the middle, I actually moved that down a little further. I embossed that panel saying sort of thanks, as opposed to putting a sentiment per se, and then used a nice tag again with a beautiful die cut out of some of that watercolor paper that I colored up, and then just used a hole punch to pop those there, which I think just came out quite beautiful, quite striking colors. Once again, sort of giving that vintage sort of decor type look around the edge there. And lucky last, number 15. Now, I built a cluster rather than a scene in this corner. because of the theme that I sort of gone with, I just sort of couldn't quite build a theme per se, or not a theme, sorry, a scene. So, you know, just keeping true to those, and added a couple of those thin stickers to highlight those rather than matting them, using that embellished texture in the back there, watercolored background and background again. Just kept layering it up and adding more interest, and once again using those little sequins, so hopefully they'll glitter in the light there. So yeah, so they're my 15 cards for this submission. I was hoping to get another one in. I really want to give this a go with some sort of stamped and coloured images. I'm hoping to get another one done before the end of the quarter. So I hope that you enjoy this. This is obviously my take, and I really love seeing everyone's cards on the Facebook group to see, you know, everyone's interpretation of them, and they look great. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to get in touch. Leave them down below. I'll endeavour to get back to them as soon as I can. And happy crafting. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.